It started on a Tuesday morning so ordinary it could have been any suburban day in America. I stood on the porch of our home in Cedarwood Estates, barefoot in slippers, cradling a warm coffee mug, watching squirrels bicker over a walnut. The sky was a gentle blue. The air carried hints of cedar and fresh-mown grass, and the world felt calm, until it wasn't. In a heartbeat, a man in tactical khakis stepped into our driveway, pulled a bright yellow taser, and fired it at my wife. My wife. What he didn't know, what he couldn't have fathomed, was that she was once the commanding officer of a covert military recon unit known only in unclassified files as Shadow 9. Her name was Lena Harper, and she was never caught off guard, not for a second. The red laser dot on her chest didn't faze her. She didn't scream or flinch. She dropped as if hit, lying still. I, on the other hand, yelled so loudly I startled the neighbor's dog 3 houses down. One moment we'd been debating charcoal for the weekend barbecue. The next, she was on the ground, and the man with a badge, not a real one, was barking into a walkie-talkie like he was storming a war zone. 6 months ago, Lena and I moved to Cedarwood Estates, lured by a glossy brochure promising safety, serenity, and family values. What it didn't mention was that the neighborhood was ruled by a power-hungry homeowners association that operated like a private militia. Lawns were manicured to the inch, houses identical, sterile, steps slightly out of line, and the HOA came knocking. Our first clash came the morning after Lena parked her matte black Humvee, a restored military relic, half an inch past our driveway. One tire's edge grazed the grass. The next day, we received a citation that looked like it was printed on Pentagon stationery. I laughed. Lena didn't. She scanned it, opened a laptop folder labeled Cedarwood Nonsense, and filed it without a word. Then there was the HOA president, Eleanor Prescott, or as Lena dubbed her, the Queen of Binders. Always in pastel cardigans, always clutching a clipboard, always scowling. Eleanor didn't like Lena, claiming she exuded hostile energy and intimidating presence. Lena just smirked, adjusted her socket wrench, and kept tuning the Humvee's suspension. That's when things escalated. The HOA unveiled the Cedarwood Safety Brigade, 5 self-appointed men with buzz cuts, surplus camo pants, and custom polos labeled Security Operations. Fake badges, flashlights the size of baseball bats. I once saw one practicing baton twirls behind a mailbox. They carried pepper spray, citation pads, and egos big enough to sink a ship. Lena watched them like she used to study targets during briefings. Calm, curious, unshaken. She started jogging the neighborhood's perimeter more often, ran fiber optic cable through our attic, and asked quiet questions about surveillance, power grids, and property law. When I asked what she was doing, she smiled. They're not ready yet. I didn't push. The safety brigade grew bolder. They installed cameras on stop signs, fined kids for chalk drawings, and issued a $75 citation to an elderly woman for a garden gnome with a rude gesture. I caught one peering into our living room window one night. Lena opened the door, stared him down, and asked, "Want to test your pepper spray against someone who's been tear-gassed on 3 continents?" He left silently. Then came the Labor Day barbecue. Lena parked the Humvee under the HOA's welcome sign. As expected, the safety brigade arrived, dressed like they were raiding a bunker, one sporting a GoPro. They approached with stern faces and citation books. Lena stood by her Humvee. When one barked a warning, she replied, "You're welcome to try." And try they did. That's when he fired the taser. That's when Lena dropped. And that's when everything changed. Red laser dots flickered across the safety brigade officer's chest from hedges, rooftops, and alleys. Lena's old Shadow 9 team, silent, precise, invisible, had been watching for days. Their optics were steady, their aim lethal. They were here, and they weren't bluffing. Lena lay on the ground, smirked, and said to the stunned officer, "You call that a stun? I've been zapped harder changing a light bulb." She stood, brushed herself off, and handed me a thick binder. Facing the gathering crowd, she announced, "My name is Lena Harper. Every action by this HOA has been documented. False citations, privacy violations, harassment, unauthorized surveillance. Today was the final piece. A man in a gray suit stepped forward, flashing a badge. "I'm Agent Thomas Reed, Department of Justice, Civil Enforcement Division. We've been monitoring Cedarwood Estates since March. Today confirms everything." The taser-wielding officer was arrested on the spot. His partner protested, but Agent Reed shut him down. Impersonating law enforcement is a federal offense. Eleanor Prescott arrived, flanked by 2 board members in matching khakis, faces pale with horror. She tried to dismiss it as a private matter, a neighborhood misunderstanding. Agent Reed stared. "Your HOA charter expired 16 months ago. Every fine since then is illegal. That's not private. It's criminal." Eleanor turned ashen. Lena stepped forward, handing over a USB drive. "Emails, financial records, memos. You'll find line items for body armor, drone surveillance, and behavior correction training. Also, check the $14,000 spent on tactical morale gear." Eleanor was speechless. Federal agents took her into custody, escorted by 2 marshals. Her pastel cardigan couldn't shield her from justice. By dusk, the safety brigade was disbanded, cameras removed, citations voided. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. Frank, the retired mechanic across the street, visited with tears in his eyes. He'd feared selling his vintage Camaro to pay HOA fines. Now he hugged Lena like she'd saved his life. In a way, she had. A week later, Cedarwood Estates held an emergency meeting. Lena was nominated to lead the new HOA board. She accepted reluctantly. Her first act: shred the rule book. Her second: ban fines, patrols, and fake authority vests. Her third: replace the HOA's motto, order through compliance, with respect, transparency, trust. Before leaving, Lena addressed the crowd. "If anyone sees a clipboard labeled Safety Brigade, do us all a favor and toss it in the nearest fire pit." Laughter erupted, loud and free. Lena resumed jogging the perimeter, earbuds in, eyes sharp. Her Shadow 9 team had melted back into the shadows, but I knew they were watching. Not in uniform, not visible, but present. She wasn't just my wife. She was a patient storm, a tactical force dismantling corruption. When injustice fired first, she didn't just fire back. She dismantled the weapon, the hand holding it, and the false authority behind it. Cedarwood learned a lesson. Tyranny in cardigans and clipboards is still tyranny, and Lena Harper doesn't flinch. The fallout was swift and final. The Cedarwood Estates scandal hit national news. Fake HOA cops arrested in Virginia fraud scheme. Eleanor Prescott's mugshot, her polished demeanor shattered, symbolized exposed corruption. At trial, Lena's binder and USB drive provided airtight evidence. The taser-wielding officer, Mark, took a plea deal, testifying that Eleanor hired the safety brigade to intimidate homeowners, offering bonuses for seized property. Eleanor was convicted on 12 felony counts, including racketeering under RICO, sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Her board members, Clara Vaughn and Henry Tate, received 5 and 3 years for fraud and conspiracy. Their assets were seized to refund residents for illegal fines. The new HOA, under Lena's leadership, became a model of transparency. Bylaws required public votes on budgets, vendor contracts needed competitive bids, and board meetings were live-streamed. Cedarwood Estates hosted community unity days, replacing rigid rules with barbecues and open forums. Lena installed a neighborhood app for residents to report issues directly, ensuring no clipboard ever held unchecked power again. Agent Reed's investigation expanded, uncovering similar HOA scams in 3 states, leading to a DOJ task force. Lena consulted as an expert, her Shadow 9 experience shaping new guidelines for community governance. Frank's Camaro gleamed at car shows, no longer at risk. The elderly woman's gnome, now a local icon, sat proudly in her garden, unfined. One evening, Lena and I sat on our porch, Humvee in the driveway, the air soft with summer. Frank stopped by with a beer. "You turned this place into a real home," he said. Lena smiled. "We all did. Just needed to clear out the noise." "Think it'll happen again?" I asked. She glanced at the sky, where her team's eyes might still linger. Not here. Not ever. A year later, Cedarwood Estates held its first Freedom Fest, a celebration of resilience. Residents shared stories of the resistance, kids played under the oaks, and a plaque was unveiled near our driveway. In defense of freedom, 2025, Lena spoke briefly. Power only wins if we let it. Stand firm, stay sharp, and never let anyone taste your spirit. As music filled the air, I watched Lena, calm, unyielding, a force who'd turned a Taser's spark into a community's fire. Eleanor's scheme failed because she underestimated Lena, her team, and a neighborhood that learned to fight back. Cedarwood Estates wasn't just a place anymore. It was a promise that justice, when challenged, strikes harder than any weapon.